So excited to welcome this young lady to the show. She is doing amazing things. She's dropped her EP called Selfless, and I cannot wait to speak to you. Alicia Creti, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I have to start off by talking about the fact that you grew up just north of Laval. North of Montreal. I call it 450 North.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
same.
450 North. So tell us what it was like growing up in Laval with regards to your music career. Like, did you always know you wanted to be a musician?
So, yes, I did always know that I wanted to be a musician. I always had vivid memories and not memories, like dreams. And I'm really like a daydreamer. So, I mean, at least the early years of me growing up in elementary school, I was always dreaming of singing. I was always dreaming of being on a stage. For me, it was like seeing me at like the Bell Center, like in the center, that was like my vivid like picture in my brain. And I sung any chance that I had. Like I sung in church, I sung I did every talent show that I could possibly do. Like I tried out every single talent show that I could do. And yeah, I mean, just kind of always sang, but never actively pursued it professionally, though. That's more the gag of it all. But that was later on, like as I got older and was studying in university.
Yeah, so talk to us. So you went to Villa Maria, right? And then you went to Dawson,
Yeah,
right? And then John Molson School at Concordia.
that's it.
Ridiculous. Tell us what you were in at John Molson School of
So
Business.
that's it. So I was literally, I first went into actuarial mathematics. I dropped out after 2 days. I said, why? Why? And then I switched and I did finance and I finished in finance, but I had met my manager virtually at the top of the pandemic in, yeah, like pretty sure it was in 2020 when the schools shut down. And I remember being in the library and me and my cousin were there and we were kind of hearing this rumor of like the school's gonna close, like the pandemic's getting bad. This was like right at the beginning. And we're talking about this and we have exams and my friend's telling me like after 13 hours of studying, we literally have a finance exam like the next day. She's like, just go and post on TikTok. Like anyone could go viral. Like just do it. And it's like reminiscent of like the girls' bathroom drunk conversation. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. And I did go viral, and that's what got me connected to my manager, who lives in LA, but she's from the Bay. And we started working together virtually, and it really just took like that one person to believe in me. It really felt like to have me feel courageous enough to like full send it and 180 switch because for a long time I didn't really feel empowered to do this professionally. I felt this pressure to, finish my degree, which I did it, but that's kind of what I mean. Like I felt this pressure to, you know, go into a more traditional career path. Like my parents are Italian, like my grandparents they immigrated here in like the 60s. So it was always this better life, very risk averse mindset. And me being in finance, you would think that I should also be risk averse. But when it comes to myself, I think that you're you're always worth the risk, like when you're betting on yourself. So that's the only time that I think people should take risks.
Well, you're probably going to be one of the only artists that is good with their money.
I hope so.
Fantastic.
Really,
Who did you listen to growing up, and do you find that those artists play a part in the sound that you produce today?
ooh, so I grew up listening to all kinds of different stuff that I'm sure have influenced me. I feel very gravitated towards darker and richer sound selections. So I started listening a lot to, say, The Weeknd's early project trilogy. That was a big one in high school for me. I grew up listening to, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, but my first loves were always in R&B and in soul, and it was Stevie Wonder, Usher, Um, Beyonce, Jennifer Hudson is like literally like the topic of conversation in my household. Like for like the my whole first 10 years, and me and my mom would always watch Dreamgirls and I'd be like singing along. So I was just always a fan of powerhouse vocals that I could feel. So that's kind of just I guess what got me started in my own journey, but it was actually a lot of YouTubers at the time. Like it was really like a YouTube generation when I was about like 10, and I was watching Christina Grimmie a lot and felt so inspired by her that I ended up learning the piano. My mom was like, "Yeah, let's get her in piano lessons. Like it's gonna make her good at math." I read that somewhere. So I'm like, great. Like always like the other way, but I was like, no, I love this. And, I just kind of did it for myself for a sec, but yeah.
Playing the piano, how important is that to you? Is that like an extension of your being?
Oh, literally. It's like my origin story. Like I feel like it was always just like me, the pen, the piano, just, trying to sing some songs for whoever was willing to listen. And at the time that was, talent shows and Odd Villa, I sang at mass like all the time, or assembly or whatever it was where there was a piano that I can like creep in and like I'm telling you, like literally any chance I had, I took it.
Talk to us about making the decision to leave Montreal and go to Los Angeles. Like how exciting and or scary was that?
So I always, I grew up well, living in Laval, but always commuting to Montreal. And this is kind of where I've been my whole life and all that I've known. So I never anticipated moving to, the States, especially LA. And, when I met my manager, we spoke about having to potentially move in the future, depending on how things are moving, because we're on a mission, So when we were talking about this, it probably happened like a year later that I ended up signing to Atlantic. So with that caused the move. And so when that happened, it was really hard, to be honest. Like it was definitely the hardest year of my life to be away from my family, and especially in another country. And it was just like it felt like the most drastic changes all happened in my life at the same time. So it was just very difficult to kind of like recognize my surroundings, and it's like a bit like destabilizing in that way. But you know, it's it's also been incredible for music making, and it really just takes like a sec to kind of get installed. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to be away from family. So
What do
oh
you miss the most when you're there apart from your family and friends? Like what do you miss the most from Montreal and or Laval when you're in Los Angeles?
my god, the food. I miss one, the home cooked meals, and I miss the Korean food. I miss Ganadara and I miss samcha so much. Those are literally my go-to spots.
So it's just not the same.
It's not the same, but it's good.
Okay.
Uh, it's just, it's very different. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting too. I feel like all the Canadians end up finding each other.
I've heard that before from other Canadian artists that have gone down there. There's like it's like you all kind of find each other like a homing signal or something.
That's it. And it's such a beautiful community of creatives in LA that I feel just so grateful to have. That is, it's really nice and everybody supports each other. So it's just difficult moving somewhere alone. But
Has your has your family or friends gone down to visit you while you're there?
so my mom's come a few times. My dad's gonna come this year, and I'm trying to get my brother out, but it's just a little harder because he's autistic. So it kind of depends on like scheduling and what's going on. And but hopefully he's gonna be out soon. And he's at the show tonight, so I'm excited for that.
Amazing. Now we have to talk about your EP, Selfless. Can you explain why it's self dash or slash less?
So I actually wrote this song about a difficult conversation that I had with my brother, which was, kind of prepping him for the fact that I would need to leave or move away eventually. And I just sat him down, and it was something like 2 in the morning, and he calls me into his room in Montreal, and he just kept repeating over and over, like when I told him, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. When I told him I'm gonna have to move, to another country because I want to be a singer like the girls that you see on TV. And he just kept repeating, like, you're going to take a plane and not a car. How come it's a plane and not a car? Are there key cards there? Like things are like I'm going on a vacation. And I'm like, no, like it's just a key. And this conversation genuinely was the hardest I ever had because me and my brother are extremely close. Like I said, like strong Italian family values. But also he's my best friend. So I just feel like I spent my whole life putting everyone before me, and so much so that I just didn't make the cut. And I thought that if I didn't do this, that I would be selfish. But I ultimately found myself feeling selfless. And that's kind of where the dash came. Like I needed an identity. And I just kind of always felt very like divided in myself, being like, I really want to pursue this. And if it works out, I can, I got my fam, like we're good, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And constantly actively pursuing the opposite throughout my life. Like in Villa, I went into sciences. At Dawson, I went and I did peer and applied, and then I ended up switching out and I went and I finished in social just to do the same mistake again in actuarial. Like I was always like pushing the opposite way. But in some other news, he has adjusted quite well. And so I think it's just a testament to, it being essential to put yourself first. And I don't think that it's selfish at all. I think it's hard. And, you want to be close to your family, but you have to do what you love in life, I think. And if you have a dream, you should follow it.
I think more people should you just gave a master class in what people should realize for themselves. So I think that speaks to you as an artist because I think artists, depending on who they are, and I feel like you're a very sensitive person. And so, yeah, okay. But you're tough from Laval. So, do you have a favorite song on the EP? I'm sure that's a stupid question because they're your babies, but like, do you have one that like sort of sticks out?
I do have a fave. My fave is Epiphany. It's it was so much fun to make. I just love the way that it was kind of created. It was like after a session that had finished, I had the room for like another few hours and I just started jamming at the piano and ended up coming up with some of the melodies and some of the lyrics. And the core of the piano emerged in like the end of this session. I called up my friend Mark and I was like, what are you doing right now? Can you come to the studio in like 20 minutes? And he came through and we started writing the intro. And it was originally going to be a song. And I was like, I think this is the one for the switch up. And then we all got in the other day and we ended up finishing like the rest of the song. And it's really just kind of like divided in three parts and ends with my nana, who's giving this speech that is really just kind of like her spiel that she tells all of her grandkids. And so it was just so special when I showed her and when I showed like all of my cousins because they said like we've had this conversation with her so many times and she's here tonight too. And so yeah, I'm just really glad that it's really just like a song and honestly entire project that is very, very close to home. It is really just about kind of like catching everybody up on the story of my life so far. And hopefully I learn my lesson eventually.
So I like to end things with what I like to call fast facts so that your fans and new fans can know a little bit more about you. Finish this sentence. The best thing about Montreal is
Food.
that's
You
perfect.
know where my head's at?
Where are you going to eat after the show?
I think I really want some cha. I'm gonna try and get it to go.
Okay.
We're near here. We're near Atwater.
It's true. Okay. Very good. Who is the coolest person in your phone apart from your family and friends?
Keeping.
Dave, are you serious? Go, girl. That's hot. I like that. What
It's
is always in your fridge?
probably probably butter.
Yeah, but you're Italian, that makes sense, right?
No, like, honestly, because I'm, like, just in and out and all over the place, like, sometimes she's packed, sometimes she's not, but the butter's always there.
When you think about, like, Laval and Montreal, do you think you will move back home one day, or do you think you're now in Los Angeles for the long haul?
No, I think I would move back. I would love to, like, if I'm gonna settle down and have a family, like, I'd love to live in Montreal or maybe even Toronto because there's, some studios there, but if we're talking long in the future, like, I would just hope to, yeah, have, some community starting in Montreal and maybe we can have a studio. That'd be sick.
I love it. Can you give a piece of advice to young, up and coming, let's say Montreal artists? And I say Laval, South Shore, whatever, somebody who was dreaming in their bedroom like you. What do you want to tell them, especially being here in the Montreal area?
Think that if this is a dream of yours, you need to chase it and don't let literally anybody, whether it's your family or your friends or whoever you're surrounded by, like your school institution, any kind of outward pressure that you have that's making you feel like this is not a possibility because of where you live. It's not true. The internet is huge. Use it to your advantage, and collaboration is key. Like, use each other. I think that we have so many dope creatives in this place that if they all, just meet each other and talk to each other, like, it can go boom. And I think that that's really the key. And yeah, that's
Amazing. That's a great piece of advice. Two quick questions for you. Dream collaboration, who is it?
mm, Drake.
That's tight. If you could switch places with another artist or producer for one day, who would it be and why?
Oh my God.
To see what their life is like for one day.
That's such a good question. I'm not sure. Like, like, honestly, maybe I'd say maybe Usher, just because I want to know what it's like to dance like that and sing like that.
You could
I
be Janet Jackson also. Thank you so much for doing this.
appreciate you. Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Hey, it's Kelly Alexander, and thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, so you are the first in line for all the cool content coming your way.